Peace. This is a Meat and Potato Sorcery production starring myself, the Water Alchemist, and today for the occult family is this following topic: when things fall apart. What we're seeing right now is the deliberate breakdown of society. And the reason that this is happening is because they want your children. This is what they want. Children are returning this week to get inoculated. And besides that, the inoculation is more spiritual and mental than anything else, because you're expendable now. This is what you are. Because many of you are going to have to scramble. So because you're under a psychological pressure cooker, who are you going to leave your children to? You're going to leave your children to the state. And by leaving them to the state, what often ends up happening is that they will be under the tutelage and the miseducation of people who are pawns of dark occultists and psychiatrists and others that you wouldn't even be able to believe it, but it's true. And what's going to end up happening is when that child starts to mature and they really become a teenager, this is when they're going to go to war with you. Because let's face it, for those who are parents or even grandparents, what teenager doesn't think that they're smarter than their parents, whether they practice magic or not? So you're seeing a deliberate breakdown because of the portals that are opening up, because of the food that they're poisoning, or the red dye that they put on meat when you go to these supermarket stores. And they do that on purpose. And what they're not telling you is that many people that can't stop eating a certain way, that's because of the parasitic worms in your system. So you have to feed that craving. So in feeding that craving, you're feeding the parasite. But there are two things, and let your mentor tell you this, that can kill those parasitic worms, that can even invade your brain. Two things: moringa and apple cider vinegar. I'm preferably a Bragg's apple, cider vinegar type of person, but you can get any kind. Apple cider vinegar and moringa will kill those parasitic worms. And the thing is, the reason that I'm telling you this is because you have to know these things, because when your child is in school, they're going to teach them to go against you. And they're going to not have a diet that is nutritionally sound. They're not going to do that. And you also have to remember, they're going to always keep you distracted. This is what they're going to do. They're going to keep you distracted with hip hop, which isn't really hip hop. And they're going to keep you distracted by fake news. They're doing this on purpose, and it doesn't matter if it's Fox News or MSNBC. And let me say this: one of the greatest mistakes, and if you study history, from the Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, during Nazi Germany, he said that a lie told repeatedly oftentimes becomes the truth. This is what he said. And also, the occultists in Nazi Germany, they use stealth. And you have to use this, because this is how you can break down a society. One of the things that always happens in any civilization, whether it was Atlantis, Lemuria before that, Persia, Kemet, Sumeria, Babylon, it doesn't make any difference. It's inconsequential. What ends up happening is that a certain group often has its own prejudices. And they'll say, well, that's just them. That couldn't possibly happen to us. And then it does happen to them because you stood aside. You didn't do anything. And when you did decide to step up to the plate, oftentimes it was too late. So there is a war against your children. And it doesn't matter if they're Native American, because they wipe pretty much most of them out. It doesn't matter if you're a Latina. It doesn't matter if you're African, Moorish, those terms that we like to banter around. It doesn't matter. And there's going to be weak men and women, especially if they're not in the household, that is going to give your child or children over willingly. So this is when things fall apart. So you have to prepare yourself. And you cannot wait until there's an economic crash. You cannot wait for food insecurity. That's already happening, whether it's the East Coast, the Midwest, etc. There is a shortage, and they're stopping the farmers. They don't want the farmers to even help you out. And what's going to happen whenever you have things that fall, and you don't have to be a sociology major to know this, crime increases exponentially. And the prison industrial complex is relishing this. But there's also a prison complex for people who choose to be revolutionary or occultists. So when things fall apart, what will you do? Something to think about, huh? So with that, that is your meat and potatoes sorcery for the day. I am the Water Alchemist. Be water, my friends. Peace.